Welcome back to Snide Reviews. Now, today we've got a very special pair of shoes. This is actually bespoke, made to order. I requested this exact shoe, this exact colorway. These are handmade by a friend of mine, actually, who has worked with various people, such as Johnny's Kicks, dudes like that. I'm sure you've seen his work popping up. This is Yuang's work. And it's just exceptional. I haven't actually seen these yet. I just sliced it open because I was just trying to make sure my address bit was not showing. I do not want that happening, but you can't see anything there now, so we're good. We are good. I'm going to unbox this live with you. But before that, before we get to the shoes, this video is going to take a bit of a long format, because what's going to happen in this video, I'm going to basically explain what goes into making a handcrafted shoe. Now, I'm not doing this because I'm some kind of salesman or something like that. This is my hobby. During lockdown, the original lockdown, I learned to hand make shoes. That's what I did. I wasn't very good at it, but I worked on it, and I made a few pairs for myself. So I just want to put this in at the beginning, and there will be chapters in this video, so if this is boring, nerdy stuff that you don't care about, you can skip straight ahead to the section about this pair of shoes if you're not interested in this. So, yeah, I just want to make it clear what goes into making a handmade pair of shoes. It's not a factory shoe. It doesn't, you know, on some level, every pair of shoes is handmade. There's that argument to be had, and I've said it myself. And I'm not on either side. I'm not on the side of customs or reps or authentics or any of that. I don't care. For me, a shoe is a shoe. I keep it simple. There are different price points depending on the labor involved. Now, these will have taken many, many man hours to make by one dude. Well, I think he's got like 3 people working with him in a small studio. And his shoes are made to order. He doesn't mass produce them. And there's something special in that, and I'll talk about the details of making the shoes later when we get to the actual shoe. But before that, I want to show you about some of the components. So the first one I'm going to pull out here, this is lasting board, and this is what happens. This is what goes on the bottom of your shoe when you're doing the lasting process. I'll get a last out now. Put everything on the floor in a bag. I should have put it up here. In fact, I'll just get everything out instead of one by one. So there's your lasting board. There's a shoe last. Here we got some outsoles of various quality. Get into that in a second. Got some internal components. And an unfinished project that I started as a little tester. Okay, right. We're good to go. Apologies for that. So the lasting board, that's the it's the material that goes on the bottom of your last. And when you're hand making a pair of shoes, the pattern actually allows it gives a bit of allowance. It makes it a little bit longer than it would be on a factory shoe. So I need to show you a pattern to explain what I mean there. If you know all this stuff, cool. Hopefully you've skipped it rather than getting annoyed by being subjected to a patronizing video, but I think this stuff is fascinating, man. So this is a pattern that I actually had made for baby SB Dunks. This is for my toddlers. By the time I finished the damn shoes, they'd outgrown them, but there you go. So you can see you get each section here. There's your vamp. That's underneath the vamp. There's your laterals, quarter panels, toe strap. There's an outline of the shoe silhouette for guidance, so you can see what you're making. Check out the upside down swoosh. That was my snide shepherds that I made. I was going to make baby ones for my kids, but like I said, it didn't get finished. Little swoosh, there's your tongue, all of this stuff. Internal, there's a heel counter. That's the hard stuff that goes at the back of your shoe. So we got various different bits to look at here. But my point here is, if you look at something like, well, if you look at the quarter panels, right? On a factory pattern, it wouldn't be as long as that. You wouldn't have this extension down here. Because what they do is strobel stitching, where they use a strobel board and a strobel machine to just tighten it up. Semi-automatic process of lasting. But when you are hand lasting, you want that excess bit down here, because what you're doing is you're pulling it over bit by bit. And then with this lasting board hammered onto the last, you would nail this on. You'd put a nail here, and nail this material on, pull the leather over using your pliers and hammer it in, literally hammer it in with nails. I'll try and put some footage over this rather than me explaining it. But that's what hand lasting involves. As for the internal components, I've gone over this in another video. So you get toe puff material, which is Texon. That's what this brand is anyway, which is a thermoplastic. It's malleable like that. This is what your toe puff consists of. But when you heat it up, you can bend it into the right shape, and when it cools down, it sets in that shape. So for the heel counter, it's also, I've got some Texon here, but you can see they've got different widths depending on how sturdy a heel counter you need. So literally it feels hard, like it's a hard piece of plastic, but you take a heat gun to it and then you mold it. You cut it out and you mold it around the back of the heel. And as it sets, and then you hammer it later with the lever over it, and it will set in the shape of that last. Now this last is specific to an SB Dunk. This is a size 37 SB Dunk. It's my wife's size. That's what's happening here. Yet to make her a pair, another failed venture. I'm the king of starting these projects and not finishing them. Then let's talk about the soles. So Louis uses retail soles. He makes a real point of doing that. He does not use rep soles. Personally, I don't care. When I'm making my shoes, I'm making them for myself. I'm not selling them. So I use retail soles. I use rep soles even on my own shoes because I really don't care. For SB Dunks, you can actually get them very high quality with the Phylon foam unit like this, like you'd get on the top tier. This is exactly the same as retail. And this would be exactly the same as a retail sole. So for an SB Dunk, it just slots in there and it pushes through that little window. That's something I always point out when I'm doing reviews, is looking for that rather than a badge. Sometimes on a budget version, you'll get one like this where it is just a badge. There's nothing happening there. That's just a cheap cup sole. Absolutely nothing going on. As for AJ1, you've got budget versions, which are like this. You'll see here there's no space allocated for an air unit. There's no air unit available. You can't put that in there because what they've done instead, to give it the sense of a bit of resistance, a bit of boost, bounce to it, they've put these ridges in all the way through the shoe. That's the only support you're getting, and they're not bad, but that is a budget sole. You'll often see these on bootlegs. If you look at the stuff on Alibaba, those services who offer custom shoes, budget SB Dunks without the swoosh, all of that stuff, they will use something like this, and these are they're cheap, flimsy stuff, man. Really just cheap budget things. So that's worse than a cup sole. Then it comes to top tiers, and these are very, very similar to retails, where it's a cup sole, doesn't have the ridges. This is what you get in a retail, but the spacing allows you to put in an air unit, and that's what this is. I believe it's pour-on foam coating, or a Phylon foam possibly, covering an air unit. I brought one that was particularly poorly formed, poor finish to this, but it does mean that you can see the exposed air bubble. So the air bubble is in that, and it's encased in this foam, probably Phylon foam, the same stuff that they use for the SBs. And that covers it. And that just fits in perfectly. So then when you feel it from the bottom, you'd get the resistance and you get the bounce back. That's what's happening with the air unit. Okay, so nerdy stuff aside, got to remember to put the chapter markers in here. If I don't, it's going to be a long video for you if you're not interested in any of that. Oh, I forgot to show the unfinished project. It's something I started, but it gives you an idea of putting a shoe together. I was going to make some cream egg dunks, That was very early on, where I was just testing out the pattern and seeing what it looked like. So there was something happening there. I don't know. I just didn't finish it. I was going to do something silly. But there you go. You get an idea of what's happening with each different panel and section. Maybe I'll revisit that with some decent leather. That's just PU leather, cheap stuff. As I say, I was just testing out the colors. Because I live in China, I don't need to actually design it. I can just get the stuff so cheaply and then make it in person as I go and see how it looks. Anyway, now, the bit that this whole video has been about is this very special pair of shoes. Now, what I've got here is a pair of 1985 metallics. And it's a low top. Wow, I love the box. Already, I love the box. That is a nice touch. I didn't read it completely. It was upside down. That was an awkward unboxing. You don't get stuff like that on unboxing therapy. Look at this, man. Dear Snide, thanks for supporting me. Welcome to the Yuang family. Ince Louis Yuang. Or Yang. That is cool, man. That's a nice touch. It's a sturdy box. Yuang Bespoke. I'm excited for this. I'm really excited for this because this isn't just your ordinary run-of-the-mill factory shoe. This has been made for me. And it's one of the metallic series. If you know the metallics from 1985, they did them in high tops. There was one low. I believe there was just one, which was white and blue. And those things now, they look absolutely destroyed. They've been decimated over time. All the metallic sections have cracked away. This is not the low. This is not the low. I take that back. I take that back. That's the next one I'm getting. I've commissioned 2 pairs. This is the high top, the orange high top. This one did exist. The lows you'll have to wait for. Oh my goodness. Look at that. Look at that, man. Damn, I'm gonna have to get both out. That is exceptional work. Just from the first glimpse, I can tell that's gonna be special. Wow. Okay, so he's emulated the cracked look by using... What material has he used? I'm not actually sure what material he's used, but it's beautiful. I've seen stuff similar at the in the fabric markets, the material markets. Look at that. So he's emulated the cracked look without it being necessarily cracked and broken. So that actually looks like... It's like a combination of if it was brand new and the ones you'd find now in their cracked condition. I love that a lot. I like that, man. Damn, he's used some premium leather as well. Check out the shape. Check out the pattern. Straight at the back. This huge exposed flex notch here, which we got on those ones back then. But the leather, oh my goodness, he's used a different one on the tongue, but the same. No, it is. It's the same leather. But because this is padded nicely, it just feels more premium. That is like calf skin leather. I'm gonna have to ask him what the materials were exactly. Basically, I just said let him. I gave him free reign over it because I seen he'd been making these, and I said I want a pair of those. They're beautiful. And what you will notice with this, and this is not a slight on his work at all, there are imperfections on this shoe. Now you might be thinking, well, for that much money, it was like $1,500 you're paying for one of these, between $1,200 $1,500 depending on the model. You might be thinking, well, I want perfection on something that expensive. Not me, because I'm buying something handcrafted by him. He made this. He's not a factory worker. He's an exceptional artist. He is truly amazing at his craft. That much is apparent just from first impressions here. But do I want a perfect shoe? No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't want a perfect factory finish. And there's like some damage down here to the leather. The cut is fairly consistent across. But at the same time, it just looks natural, man. It looks natural. You can tell this is a handmade item. great heel counter used, great toe puff used, the stuff that I always talk about in reviews and the stuff I just showed you just now, but that leather is so good. Has he branded it himself? He has on the inside. Okay. He's used leather for the tag. The Wings logo is looking good. That cracked effect looks beautiful. Gone with orange laces, sort of coral laces on here. I'm not entirely convinced that's the right one, but they're aged as well. They look like they've been sun bleached. I might be switching those out. Yo Fox on here. Whose are those laces? At Foxtrot uniform laces, whatever they're called. Might be those. I actually don't know. Beautiful finish, man. The stitch work on this is incredible. Interesting. Has not used a shoe tree. Has used bubble. He's used a bubble there. Amazing. Okay, now the internals is what I want to get to. I want to look at this. I want to show you something. Because if these are truly handmade, handcrafted, it will be evident in how it has been lasted. If there's Strobel down here, it may still be handcrafted, but he's used a Strobel machine. But from what I've seen from his work so far, everything is hand done. He does everything by hand, so including the lasting. And I'm going to be looking here to see if they've got lasting board like the stuff I showed you, or if it's going to be Strobel board, and then we'll get a better picture of how he operates. Now I'm not trying to like expose anyone or speak negatively about anyone else. There's these discussions happen in the handmade shoes industry. It's like, I say industry, the hobby. Some people argue you shouldn't use any machines. Some people do everything by hand, including the sewing. They literally sew by hand. What I know Yuang does for what Louis does for the vamp, I know he does that by hand. He just literally punches them in with a hammer. Okay, let's have a look here. Yeah, okay. Yeah. We'll get into it. Alright. So, he has stitched leather onto a standard insole to make his own. I like that. He's branded just, you know, a regular foam insole insert. He's branded it back here. Really nice soft leather. The same leather as at the upper itself. That is a nice touch. Same as the lining. Super soft. I wish you could feel that. So good, man. Damn, I wish I was this good at making shoes. If I'd stuck at it, maybe. Not too late. When I find time again one day, I will get back into it. But look, so what's happening down here? That's lasting board, and you can see the nail marks. No Strobel stitching around the side of a shoe. I've talked about this loads. Every review I talk about Strobel stitching, but hang on, let me just pull a shoe off to show you. Let me show you on these. Random Dior insoles used there. So check that out. You see the Strobel stitch inside? When people talk about the Strobel stitch, I'm gonna have to zoom in. See the red stitching around the shoe? That is Strobel board. It's a piece of Strobel board or foam, and then the Strobel machine actually stitches around those red stitches all the way around the back of the shoe down at the bottom. Is that showing? Is it focusing? So yeah, you compare that to here, you won't see those stitches back here because what he's done is done it by hand. So he's pulled it over each section, pulled over the leather, and then has lasted it with hammer and nails. Some would argue, well, you know, why would you pay extra for that? It's not about that. It's not just about the process. It's the amount of work involved and the craft itself. Like, the dude made me a pair of shoes, and I'm ready to pay for that. And if anyone gets upset about it, why would you spend that much money, bro? It's not your money, it's my money. They're not your feet, they're my feet. And that's all we really need to say. Like, it's a hobby of mine, it's an interest of mine. I don't have to justify my purchases to anybody. So whilst this might seem like an advert, it's not. It is not an advert. It's not a commercial. I put my money up for these because I like them, and then I'll show them to you, and so you can see the difference between something like this and a pair of mass-produced reps. The end result's the same. You get a pair of shoes, sure. But for me, I wanted something special with a bit of a story behind it, and it's a guy I've been talking to for a while, ever since I first started making them, and I wanted to support his business by getting a pair, and that's all I'll say about that. Outsole, yeah, it feels retail to me. Incredibly sturdy. I don't know which shoes he pulled it from, but quite frankly, my opinion, I wouldn't care if they were rep soles, because I love my reps anyway. That much is clear from the videos. But do be mindful of that. When these guys who make handmade stuff, they will justify a price point not just by the amount of work, but they'll include a sourcing fee for the pair of shoes. You look at Shoe Surgeon shoes, for example. He says it includes the sourcing fee, which is fair enough. If you've had to buy something at resale just to pull the sole off it, that in itself is an expense. That added to the actual labor costs and someone's time, which I value people's time. There you go. The end result is something else. Those are beautiful. What a beautiful pair of shoes. Love those, man. Could not be happier with the purchase. I'll say I'll be back for more. I am already. I'm getting the lows. Maybe the same color, maybe a different color just to mix it up. But that's where we're at right now. And I've also commissioned him to make a pair, which I won't talk about yet. It's 100% a retail sole. You can tell from the shape, actually. I have commissioned him, but we haven't got to production yet. So I'll share that later when it's in the works or when it's actually finished. But I'm working on something, a little tongue-in-cheek statement about how these are not reps. For some they might be. I don't care. I'm not trying to convince anyone. I'm not trying to make you change your mind. I'm just trying to show you the facts, and you can form your own opinion on that. Not everything has to be this way or that way. It can be down the middle. It's not like modern day politics where they're trying to divide people. It's shoes, lads. It's shoes, and there's way too many arguments about it already. Far too many back and forths about this stuff. It's shoes for your feet, and we don't live long, man. You know, just enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself or treat yourself, man. Wear whatever you like the look of. Spend whatever you want. Beautiful. Yeah, that gets full marks from me. And my main takeaway is that I'm jealous that I can't produce something of this level by my hands. I'd have to outsource to get something this good, but yeah, maybe it's time to get back into that hobby. Maybe one day. For now, boys, that is the end of this video. I appreciate it was a super long one. I didn't really have a particular train of thought that I wanted to pursue on this one. I just ran with it, so if it turned a bit rambly, my bad. But if you stuck it through to the end, thank you for watching. Do consider dropping a like, a subscribe. The link to Louis' Instagram is below, as is the link to my Instagram and all of my stuff. But really, I wanted to show you his work, because that is on a different level, man. Absolutely beautiful. Head over there, guys. The link is down there. Cheers. Keep it snidey.